Marc Laws, great to be with you.
Thank you, Steve,
Thanks for coming on over.
Absolute pleasure, bro.
Sipping chai, eating chocolate, living a beautiful moment. So grateful to share it with you.
Yeah, man.
What's been happening, my man?
Oh, man. So much. I guess the biggest thing that's been happening is having a baby on the way in May 2020. So that's going to be epic, man. It's like, just watching Amanda change so quickly, physically, and just the, I guess, intuition, the senses heightening, and just the baby kicking to, and everybody's like response to a baby. It just brings out so much light in people. Yeah. Thank God
Keep
for
talking.
children.
I'm just going to turn that fan off.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
But thank God for children, They're a great reminder.
Oh, yeah. And how are you feeling all in all? How are you feeling with it all? Transitioning into fatherhood. I mean, you don't really know until it happens, but how are you feeling at this point?
Yeah, that's exactly
6 months pregnant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in week 20, is it?
Yeah.
And transition, I think more of it, Amanda's physically noticing. Me, I have what I see on the outside, and then just being full support and loving to her, which is just easy. But I think when the child is born, that will be the moment you can ask me again on my transition to father, because you would know. How was it for you?
I mean, just reflecting on it straight away gives me chills, chills of joy and wonder. I mean, with Soleil, it was quite a stressful moment, to be honest. We had planned a home birth, and 20 hours into the labor, shit kind of hit the fan, and it was quite an emergency. We were advised very urgently to get to the hospital. And it was stressful, the doctors wanted to do it a particular way, and the midwife we had hired that came to the hospital with us, she was kind of fighting it to do it in the way she wanted it and we wanted it. And there was just a lot of kind of tug of war of the kind of medical opinion and the midwife's opinion and what we wanted, and it was high octane, in all honesty. But then, I mean, Jo is such a trooper. She did all of this without any pain medication, and just really wanted to go through that kind of rite of passage and really experience it to the fullest. And I just bow to her with such awe. That's a big part of the reflection of holy shit, how did she do that? Especially under those particular circumstances where it was a kind of scary moment, And and then Soleil finally came out, and it was just, oh man, it transformed me without a doubt. And I'm so glad that us fathers can actually be in the room now. Not too long ago,
so I heard,
that would have been the norm to pretty much not be in the room, or not even be allowed in the room.
Right, because I've seen my youngest brother. My mom asked us when she was going into labor if me and my brother wanted to go see her give birth. And so we did, and that was transformational.
Yeah.
My dad, it was back in the day when you had those camcorders that sit on your shoulder. And so my dad's you could watch him scanning as you watch the video, and then he gets to me and my brother standing on the side watching the birth happen, because it was all happening. And my brother's just cool, and then me, my mouth is wide open. I'm just just in awe. And it was incredible. And during that time, I think that was 94. It was cool. It was cool for all of us to be there. And I got to see everything from the placenta, the umbilical cord. They asked if we wanted to cut it. And I was just this is incredible. It changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think family should be part of, if the mother's all right with it, I think family should be part of
I agree.
a birth process.
Yeah. And with Lani, that couldn't have been more of a perfect birth. We did it just upstairs in a room.
Nice.
In the birthing pool, just a few hours of labor. Soleil was just chilling, asleep, relaxed, even though there was a lot of noise and music and all of that. And that couldn't have gone more beautifully. The baby out within a few hours, Jo cuddling up with Lani, and didn't have to leave the house for weeks, which is our ideal. They were able just to cuddle up for weeks was beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning so much about that because I don't, all I know is what I've been around, right? And it's like in New Mexico, in the United States, I learned from what I saw with my mother. And she's just like, she was at the hospital, left the same day because she doesn't like to be in hospitals. And then I think she was at work within weeks, if I can remember correctly. And then, you know, being with Amanda and also learning from, I guess, more the community that we're all involved in, like the community, the yoga community and midwives and Bali as well.
Yeah.
Since that's where we're living right now, is that you stay in the house for 3 months. And also, like, looking at that, I just feel so blessed to be able to have that opportunity like you guys had, to be like, I don't have to go off to work. You know, I can stay here with my family just and enjoy this time and be together in this. It's such a pivotal moment, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so much blessings to that.
Yeah. And it's incredible. Like, I became so primal, like as a father, like I was worshiping the placenta and the umbilical cord and just like loving on that and cutting it up and freezing it and encapsulating it and wanting to nourish Joe. And I mean, not too long before that kind of shit would have freaked me out.
Right.
I would have been totally adverse to it, but something about it totally changed so many things about me. It totally transformed me, and I just saw wonder in that whole process, and all the blood and all the placenta and all the craziness of it was just like, wow, just Mother Nature putting on a show. And I mean, I get why it is so feared in our quote unquote Western society. I get why it is kind of put into a fear kind of clinical setting of everything needing to be in a clinical way. But wow, it's totally transformed that perspective. And I'm also grateful for the medical system, because I also do feel if it wasn't for that, Soleil and possibly even Joe and Lonnie wouldn't be here, you know?
Yeah.
Not too long ago, if it wasn't for that medical intervention, they would have been done. And that happened, still does happen a lot, you know? So I feel a real blessing for experiencing both the most natural, beautiful way, but also the blessing of having those medical interventions, you know?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. There's this happy medium.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to happen now because a lot more people are asking questions that we haven't asked in a long time. Because, it is. And thank God for that. You've got such a beautiful family, man. So, yeah.
Super grateful.
Yeah, man.
So what else has been happening? How have you found your time in Perth after,
oh, man.
I mean, you and Mandy live such a nomadic life. How have your travels been, for starters, and any highlights from the year that we've just had? And how's it been back in Perth?
Well, let's see, like the travels, you know, I've been slowly, I guess, transitioning into living a city life. And like I was raised in the cities, from living in like California to most of my time in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then eventually like Guernsey and then London for a good span of 8 years, and loved the city. And I was just like high vibing, man. It's like, it's the fast lane, baby, you know, and I'm going for it. And then eventually just something starts to, I guess, transition within inside of me, and just like, you know what, I need to just chill. And I think that happened actually when I came to Perth. Because when I came to Perth, I literally got off the plane and then spent the night at a friend's house, and then went straight to the land, out to the flow land. So that was my first interpretation, I guess, or first, you know, experience of Perth, to go straight out to the bush. And it reminds me a lot of New Mexico's terrain. It's just like, there's something in the air, man. It's really sacred and really beautiful. And it's been kept together. And when I got out there, and then, you know, it was a blessing, because I'm just meeting Amanda, and then I get to be introduced to everything that you guys have put together, like your beautiful community, and get a chance to you know, even share yoga there, and see how much you guys respect the indigenous in the land, you know, to have them there and to bless it and get their almost approval, if you like their blessing. And that really moved me, and I felt like I'm in the right place. And then just watching everything on Magic, Unravel, like that place is absolute magic. Like your entire festival, the Flow Festival, And that land is just, everything just comes together so beautifully. The ingredients and the water and the people. It's just like, we used to do festivals back in the UK. And, you know, to go to a festival, and it's like a retreat, really, and just have time away from our usual life and just be with the people that we love and actually be present. And there's not a lot of like communication on the phones to people that aren't there. It's more of just communicating and being with the people that are there, including ourselves, as being able to go to workshops and spend a little time for ourselves and have some thought and just be surrounded by such inspirational people with just ways of thinking that you're just like, I never thought of that. And then boom, you go back so full, you know, of love and knowledge and this incredible wisdom. And then this is what I think what's happening these days. It's like, I feel like there's this big transition happening globally. And with a lot of festivals out there, including the festival you and Mandy put together, is that for me, it's like, there's this, I can't remember the type of theater, but there's this type of theater where people, the people that are in the stands are actually part of the experience. So the theater happens. If you know the name, let me know. And eventually, the scene kind of stops in between. And then they ask the crowd what should happen next. And then people shout out different scenarios, you know, because now they feel like it's almost like they can relate. We can all relate to it. It's like, no, it should happen like this, because this is what happens in life. And then we get to watch it play out. And for me, like, festivals and all these gatherings that we're starting to have are a way for us to exercise what we want to see in the world. So it's like our practice place. It's our retreat place. And then we get to take that back.
Yeah.
And have that same magic. Why can't we have that same magic every day? You know?
I think we can. And I love the way you put that. Yeah, Mandy and I often express it being like a microcosm of the macrocosm. And I mean, we're definitely seeing the ripple effect. I mean, from when we started like Flow from the Heart, which was even like a smaller kind of half-day version of Flow.
Okay.
And just the feeling of it, and, you know, how many people were practicing yoga and just doing all this exploration of consciousness. It didn't feel like anywhere near as much as now. And it does feel like each year there's a bigger multiplicity of it, a bigger expansion of it, without a doubt. And it's palpable. You can feel when people come together and really dedicate their attention and their devotion for a nice amount of time. It's impactful. It does actually affect our lives. We come back more loving and more connected. And I do think that some people go through a phase of needing to get back to something straight away, like needing to get back to the ceremony as quick as possible, or back to a retreat as quick as possible. The kind of festival circuit is a good example. Like, how many festivals can I get to in a short amount of time? And I think that has its time and place. But then we start to appreciate the integration of bringing that harmony that we experience on those types of festivals and retreats, the harmony we experience, and then be more strengthened, hopeful, vital, to then bring it into the places that we think are mundane. Because that's pretty common. It's like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's shit.
Yeah.
And then that's what's happened to me over the years, you know, rather than needing to get back to Ram Dass or back to a festival or back to this, can't I find that same harmony while I'm driving to work and I'm getting pissed off in the traffic? It's so much harder, you know? And I give thanks to Ram Dass for actually teaching that. He's like, you could just, you know, if you get pissed off in London, if you get pissed off in the city, you could just escape to the mountains or escape to somewhere. Or you could sit in the fire of what's pissing you off and find the harmony there. And I really give thanks to him for that teaching, because before I heard those words and before it struck a chord in me, I was an addict. I just wanted more of flow, more of ceremony, more. I was total hooked on it.
Right.
In probably a pathological way, a dysfunctional way. So I feel like there's a happy medium in that as well, and that I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's no doubt, right? It's part of the path. Like you have to have these extremes and these moments of just testing. Because I couldn't agree with you more, man. Because there are some times I know in my life where I was just like, I just want to just disappear, and easily just go off to any cave or anywhere and just be happy there. But that's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm so connected to like my family, the city, things like that. Is because this is where it needs to be done. Like this beautiful balance of living and celebrating and having ceremony. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with having lots of ceremony, but having it in the city and having those beautiful occasions that don't need much more than just the people and what's natural. And that's the impact that in that particular moment, because obviously there was things that was happening in my life before I arrived in Perth, Australia, and ended up at that festival to start with. And, the beauty of that is like, because my plan was to be in Perth for 2 weeks. Because I met Amanda, and then, I was just planning to just say hello, teach at the festival, and then I was supposed to go East Coast to Australia and teach out there. And then to have the blessing of the festival and have that space, not only do I get to meet amazing people, but also I got to spend some quality time. And then also with Amanda, like quality time with everybody. So you really get to know somebody, yeah? And then that 2 weeks turned into 2 months. Like I didn't go I went to the East Coast for 5 days. I got 2 workshops done out there, but it just turned into that. It was just like, there was this period of just watching myself unravel and surrender. Because that first week, like that was a beautiful, intense time at Flow. And then after Flow, I had a week to just kind of be with myself and do things. And immediately what was happening to me was just like, okay, I need something to do. I need to be busy. So that's London, right? And then as soon as I got past all of that, then I was just like, all right, wow. Well, look at this. I didn't even notice this. You know what I mean? And then the good stuff started, I could really be there with myself and others as much as I thought I was. I wasn't really, there was still something chattering in the back and this busyness, almost this thing you were talking about, like more ceremony, more this, more that. And it's just like, I just needed time to do that. And it's happened to me in Bali as well, like in India too, where there's just this period of just like, it took a week or two for me every single time just to unravel a few layers to see where I was at, where my mind wasn't busy, where I used to be, but where I'm at right now. And then the magic happens. And I think that's what I love about traveling. And you asked me how the travels went, and I've been watching that transition happen as well. It's just like, even the traveling is starting to slow down a bit. It's like, I want to be everywhere at once, but at the same time, it's like, we start to learn these things and we know so much. And the question is, do we actually practice it all? And then anytime I sit on that, I'm just like, no, actually I don't. So time to kick back for a second, maybe not take this plane trip and just really endure and take what's happening right now. And it's been quite a year, to be honest with you.
How many plane trips did you take?
Fuck, dude. Gosh, I don't know, man. Easily, I don't know, maybe 10 plus.
Okay.
Maybe more.
I thought it would have been more.
No, that was like in 3 months. For the entire year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20. Which, like I was raised like that. Like I was born in England, then we moved to Canada, and then California, and then went into soccer. And then it's like every other weekend I was flying until just recently, like it's starting to slow down.
I didn't even leave Perth until I was 21, and I look at...
Where did you go?
That was to Bali.
Okay.
That was to Bali. It was so funny. It was a planned kind of party trip, 20-something of us. And Bali just touched me so deeply. Even though I hadn't formed a real regular, like, spiritual practice, I had already been exposed to a bit of Ram Dass, but it hadn't quite become a part of my life. And the yoga practice, I'd done a little bit here and there, but it hadn't fully touched me. Nothing had really, except for partying and drugs, and alcohol. And went to Bali and everyone was partying and just doing the kind of Perth thing over there, kuta, just sloppy.
I heard about you guys there.
It's nasty, man. It's
Right.
fucking nasty. And I got there, I was just so, even though it was kuta, I was watching the Balinese doing their offering of incense and prayers and ritual, and I was just blown away. I was in awe. And I had quite a few pivotal transformational experiences on that trip, including nearly drowning on this big swell that came through while we were surfing. So that scared the shit out of me, but in a beautiful way. Kind of came out of that.
Kind of wipes the lens, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it just shook me to the core and came out even more like, fuck all this partying. Like, I just wanted to be with these Balinese people and see what they were all about, because I didn't know. Didn't know. I thought Bali was just a party place for Perth people to go. I mean, and that's still a common perception.
It is.
Here, you know? It's just to go to Kuta and have a cheap piss up holiday, you know? And I was blown away. So that was my first trip, 20 or 21, around that time. And just wanted to keep getting back there and did. And then spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia and India, and just couldn't get enough of that Eastern flavor of devotion. I just couldn't get enough of it. It was transformational. But I look at my kids and they're traveling so much. Like Soleil's 2 passports are already full and Lani's on her way there. And
So great.
Just can't imagine being in that. Like, you know, a couple months ago at the ancient Mexican pyramids, and they were, you know, all over the place. So,
man.
it's cool to have that adaptability and be able to adapt to any environment that we're in. Yeah.
You know what I love what you said? So many things, actually. But in particular, when you said you saw the Balinese doing their offerings and how pivotal that was for you, they don't even know that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But the power of being able to teach somebody or share something with someone doesn't have to be like, okay, do this. It's just simply all they did was their practice.
Yeah.
And it taught you so much.
No words, nothing.
Nothing, man.
Yeah.
They didn't even know you existed.
Yeah.
But yet it had this tremendous impact on you. And look what you've done since then because of that.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind, man. Like, I call it the universe, man, because like this whole connection of everything that our simple minds can never see, you know, these knock-on effects of everything we do say, including like every breath, man, every smile has a massive impact, and where it takes all of us. Yeah. You know, and it was similar to what happened to me. Like when I got involved in yoga, it was a particular class was the tipping point, where a gentleman was just talking about all the right things. His name's Stuart Watkins, actually, in London, and I was coming from like a competitive background, you know, professional soccer player. America, be 110% was the propaganda that was sold to me. Got to be better than everybody else. America's number one. You know, this type of thing. So this is the attitude. And then I'm living in London, and then yoga's slowly, this seed took over a decade to grow. I'm in this class, and Stuart Watkins, he's a very strong personality, Scottish, like these eyes that just look straight through you. And he had broke his back in the day, and it was paraplegic, and it was yoga that brought him back. And ever since then, he's devoted his time to his guru and his yoga, and tremendous man. So in this class, it's a strong asana class. I'm seeing it like handstands and hand balances that I've never seen before in my life. And I'm literally just watching for a moment. I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, okay, I want some more of this because I love a challenge. And as I'm taking on these challenges sometimes, he starts speaking about the ego. And as he's speaking about the ego, I'm like, holy shit. That's me, man. I'm just so egotistical because I'm just like comparing myself to people like I'll be able to do what he's doing one day, or I'll be able to do that, rather than just like, it's like, what can I do? Like, you know, and just really enjoy what was happening. I was just too busy out there, and that's where I got my power from. Or that's where I was like sending my power out to. I was just giving it away, not realizing it. And when he said that, I was just like, everything just dropped, and I was like, okay, I'm going to study this for the next 10 years. Wow. Like minimum. And then that was it, man. Because I've always loved, like, you know what I noticed? Like, I was sitting back thinking about, like, what did I love about football, about soccer? And yoga, the same thing, you know, being able to teach. And it's just like to bring people together. That was like the biggest thing that I loved about it. Number one is it brings people together. And then number two is just like, there's such beautiful vessels, football, soccer, yoga, to study self. Just like, what is this? You know, like born into it. I know nothing about it. It doesn't come with a manual. It only works on experience. And that's what it offered. I was just like, I'm always curious, like, what is the potential? Like, what are we truly capable of? Like, you know, and I know there's so many awesome secrets out there, you know, and I think that's what drives me, man. That's the fuel.
And where have you, for people that haven't experienced your yoga classes and fully experienced you in a teaching kind of format in a yoga context, how have you felt and seen your unfoldment in the yoga practice from that pivotal experience of feeling the kind of competitive, egocentric you be revealed, and then a true insight into what is possible, to then the 10-year unfoldment to where you are now?
It hasn't even been 10 years yet.
Okay.
But it's a really good question. Because for me personally, it's like, I'd say it started there, but it started way before that. Like, I wouldn't be able to see it unless I was seeking it. And then from there, it was, there's just so many layers, like being authentic and thinking I was being so authentic with people, and then realizing that I wasn't, or thinking that I had the most open heart and just love for everybody. And then one day realizing that was through Amanda, but that's still yoga. Realizing that, wow, there's so much more to open, and so much more, like, you know, I think one of the biggest foundations of love is truth and trust. And that shook me up a lot, because there were certain things in my life growing up is just like, okay, you share that, you're weak. You know, you share tears, you're weak. You know, this is where I came from. So it was just like, and then suddenly I was just cracking into like, because
So
like,
Amanda was a big part of that, huh?
love.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really surrendering to love. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was the vessel that just stood before me when I asked for it. And I was like, all right, I'm ready for something sacred.
Yeah.
And then boom, it's like, here we go. Now you got to grow into it. And then suddenly it was growing. And growing, like, sometimes there's growing pains, man. And there's some serious growing pains. And it was like the expansion of just like it's so easy to lie. You know, it's like, oh, how you doing? And you notice the person's not doing too well. And you're like, oh, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Boom, there it is. Where's the truth? And
Here it's, not too bad.
yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's actually talk here.
And so there's some, and you're right. And there's something about that. Like, even like, because I was surrounded by like masculine energy playing football, right? And it's just like, that's just the way it is. And you're strong because you're holding it down. You're being a rock for everybody. But on the real, it's just like, you're hiding. How is that strength? You know? And so people were like, oh, vulnerability can be weak. It's like, well, vulnerability is truth. So therefore, if you can express that authentically, then that's courage and so much more strength to me than anything else. If you don't need to hide or even think about it, then you possess tremendous strength. And so I just sit in that, and you know, and you get tested, because there's people in my family that are just like, why are you crying? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like there's something wrong with it. And just like, this is the updated Mark. This is what's going down. Like, this is what's really happening with me.
Back to Ram Dass, he often says, you think you're enlightened, go hang with your family. Go hang with your parents, you know?
Yeah, man.
So going back to those deep ancestral conditioned places, I mean, it's a deep, deep practice.
It is,
And
man.
so what do you do when they're giving you shit? Like if you're opening up or vulnerable, what's your kind of response? Do you kind of...
That was my response.
Right.
This is the new Mark,
Yeah.
Mark 2.0 or whatever. It's like, because I can't fake it. You know, like it's just not going to happen. And to be honest with you, I think like world peace and all these other things we think about that are wrong with the world, it starts there. Do you know what I mean? If I can't give compassion and understanding to my family wherever anybody's at, then there's not going to be world peace, man. So why am I kidding myself? You know, and how can I judge anybody wherever they're at in their path? You know, so it's like, it's constant reminder. If that's another way that I approach it, is there's constant reminder. And sometimes I fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, and then like check myself and come back and...
It's awesome, man. I'm really glad you're sharing that, because it's a common predicament for people. You know, they're growing, they're developing, they're awakening, they're connecting more to their essential self, and then boom, back in, back with schoolmates or back with family, and they're giving them shit, and they fall back into old patterns. And it's a very common predicament, and it's hot and fiery and full on. And I can relate to that as well. I remember when I first started just changing radically and getting more interested in spiritual practices and yoga, I do remember certain people giving me shit. And I mean, at first I was so blissed out on this new life that was unfolding. I truly didn't give a shit. I was just so like in my heart, I truly didn't give a shit. But then I think what's also pretty common is then a bit of a plateau of like kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. That's a normal thing that continues throughout our whole life, not just babyhood. But then I remember after that little bit of plateau, going back and really being affected and sensitive to other people's judgments and criticisms. And it hurt a lot. But then as I've just like maintained it, like continued the sadhana really, those same people that used to give me shit, they're now showing up at yoga classes, wanting to get all around it and loving it and, congratulating me on having a beautiful family and doing this and that and the other. And I'm always amazed that all of those people, pretty much, I could be exaggerating, but quite a lot of those people that really were questioning where I was going in life and worried, probably sincerely worried, like, well, what's up with Stu, like, seems a bit off, a bit strange, even though like I'm happy.
Even though you're a bit on. That was a problem. It's like, why are you so happy, man?
Yeah, that's another common one of like, why are you so happy?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so happy on? No reason.
But it's a funny world, right? Because you're telling me you come out of a world of like the partying and all this other stuff, and it's like, that's what happens, right? Because it's like you go somewhere like you used to hang out with homies, and they're just like, what's wrong with you, man? You're not drinking? You're not taking this? You're not taking that? They're just like, actually, it's the other way around if we think about it.
Yeah, but places like this, that's been normalized. And I know a couple people that listen to this, and they're going through that challenge of wanting to break some deep toxic habits and onto a good path, but that very thick pattern in places like here in Australia where it gets to the weekend and you let your hair down and you just fuck yourself up on anything you can. I know some people like that feel like they almost can't help but go back to that pattern. And it's the kind of tribal thing. That's the kind of shadow aspect, toxic aspect of tribalism, So you've got your tribe, your people you've put so much history into, so much energy into, and they do this thing. And to break away from that, I mean, it's probably an old pattern when we change our behavior from the tribal behavior. They're gonna give you shit. Or disown you or kill you,
It's true, man. It's like, because the shadow teaches us so much. Like, thank God for it. A lot of times we want to run from it, And we should all take it easy on ourselves if we dip back into the shadow again. If we're like, okay, I didn't really learn that, I'm going to go back. It's like, all right, man, good luck. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like our DNA is constantly evolving. And it's in those moments, like you're talking about tribes and being like denounced from your tribe. It's like, that's a big thing, man, because that was our survival, right? Back in the day. And now it's just like, okay, like someone needs to step out so we can shake up the tribe, and y'all can stay in that, or you can shift into something new. And it takes a lot of effort to evolve, but it always takes one cell, to start that transition. And that's kind of how it works, So.
And I think that is one of the many blessings of getting away, traveling. That's what really helped me. Okay, this isn't working. I got to not hang out with those particular people for a while. I mean, at the time for me, it was like forever. Got to get away from this. Got to get away. Got to get to places I vibe with and people I vibe with, places that inspire me. I think that is helpful. There's a time and a place to get away from the habituated patterns and go to places like India, go to places that blow your mind, go to places where people celebrate love. It's very healthy for us. And then maybe, think you're enlightened, go hang out with your parents. Go back to that where you were born, back to those tribal networks that still maybe trigger you, and give it another shot. I mean, that's what I've done. And I'm back here, which is my birthplace, and kind of the places that used to really trigger me don't anymore at all. And like I said, they're showing up to classes, and it's sweet, it's beautiful, which gives me a lot of hope for the collective awakening, you know, those that we think are really just fucking up the planet. You know, may we keep like doing the meta, you know, keep working on ourselves and then ripple that out, because I keep seeing it in small ways, but it gives me hope for the bigger ways too, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It goes back to what you're talking about, the Balinese offerings. Just keep on doing the offerings, man.
Yeah.
People are going to see it. Because we're attracted to the truth, man. Like, human beings are attracted to light. And when we see it working, it's just like you can't help but gravitate. And then there's a tipping point coming, man. I'm a huge believer of tipping points. And that's what I feel is happening, especially, you know. Like, I've never seen so many communities in my life around consciousness, and now like global movements about sustainability and global warming, and actually being, we're connected to this planet. It's like, yeah, man, it's like, how can a child know if it was born in the city that nature exists if it's never been to nature? You know, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
You know, like little kids don't even know like the names of fruits and vegetables. So it's just like, the more we talk about it, and this beauty of technology and having things like these podcasts and all these other mediums and how we use them, like, yeah, they can be hazardous, but they connect all of us, and information can travel so much faster.
Yeah.
And it stops the bottleneck of who gets to control the information. So it's
it is pretty interesting, the kind of contrast. Like, if we're just looking at the shit that's wrong in the world, and that's our feed, you know, because apparently a lot of the algorithms out there kind of feed what you're interested in. So if we're just interested in the shit going on in the world, and I do agree, it's good to be informed, to know what's going on in the world, like the shit aspects as well. But there's a lot of people freaking out that the world is just worse than ever, you know, because there is a lot of gnarly shit going on, and technology has made it so, you know, every time something shit is going on. We've never been so inundated with news and the polarities of left and right, and it's overwhelming. So if that is one's only like feed of information, fuck, it's a scary fucking world. But if one is feeding, like, there's the kind of contrast, like people say people's attention spans are going really shortened, and they're just like getting like fed shit. But then there's the other side where, people are vibing off these long form conversations, podcasts and audiobooks, and incredibly heart-opening and mind-expansive information and storytelling and wisdom. People are hungry for it, you know? It's just, where are we putting our attention? And it's quite an interesting contrast from what we think. People's attentions are getting drained, and we're getting just zapped by these phones and kind of losing ourselves to it. Yet I'm seeing a lot of beauty as well, and these incredible documentaries coming out, and incredible exposure of the beauty in the world and solutions to some of the issues in the world. Like this young kid that just invented this machine in the ocean that can just suck up mass amounts of plastic, and he's looking at solutions to make shit out of that plastic.
That was like 15 years ago. Yeah. And he's just getting good funding and launching it now. He's incredible. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember either. I'll try and find out and leave it below.
Throw it in there, man. It's so inspirational.
Yeah, there's a lot of inspirational stuff going on. Yet I see why it's easy to get freaked out, you know, with all these bushfires and volcanoes and earthquakes and Trump, and like, Kali Yuga is just running rampant. But
straight up.
Yeah.
But it has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it has to happen. It's okay to freak out.
Exactly.
Because eventually when you start to chill out, then you're like, okay, what am I going to do about it now that you've settled? And some will settle before others. But eventually everyone will settle and be like, all right, I got to make this better. Like when your body's screaming, like you were talking about earlier, like micro to macro, when the body's screaming, asking for help and just like, stop feeding me this, stop doing this to me. It's just like, we're designed to be better.
Yeah.
That's our nature. And so eventually we're just like, okay, I surrender. And then things start to happen. It's just like, it's the makeup. No matter what, we're going to the same place, man. I just want it to happen quicker.
Yeah. Tell us about this tattoo on your forearm. You were telling me about it yesterday, but for those of you watching, showing up to that camera,
This one, I can do this one.
Just love that tattoo. It's beautiful.
Yeah. That was when was that? That was right after my first trip to Bali. It was my first trip to Asia. My uncle asked me to come join him in the Philippines. He lives in Manila. And that was an awesome trip because I got to know him a lot better. But at the same time, it was like, the city's just, it drained me, man. And then I got an invitation to go to Bali with some friends. And a lot of magic happened there. And then I ended up going to Thailand because I have a friend that he was teaching and also into Muay Thai. He's from England. And he was telling me about this gentleman that does Muay Bran, which is a martial art, I guess, that came before Muay Thai, or developed from Muay Thai. And so I went to go train with him in Muay Bran. And he used to be a monk and then became a champion fighter in Muay Bran in Krabi. And then he was also a single needle, like tattoo artist, if you like. And he only does like prayers and things like that monks do. And he gave me one, and he just mixed it up with like something that he said it's traditional, but then there's modern aspects to it. And it's a prayer around like freedom, because it meant a lot to me during that travel, like the art of freedom. And then you, after the tattoo, because the tattoo also has to be at a particular place, and at a particular time. So if you have things like Buddha or any deity that's, of divinity, you never put it below the waist. And so we weren't allowed to put this below the waist, and it had to be before noon. And then we went and trained, and then he took me to the temple, and then we had it blessed, and we did prayers and put intentions into it, and then it's sealed. And it meant a lot to me because at that moment in my life, I felt like I wasn't living a life of freedom. And it kind of goes back to truth and trust. I wasn't being honest with myself. And I was hurting people indirectly. And they may have not noticed. I didn't notice. But suddenly I was, going back to that travel, man. It created that space where I was just like, oof, I need to check myself. Like, I'm preaching freedom. I'm sharing that, in my classes. And I'm not fully living it. And it's still my practice to this day. But I feel like I'm becoming more and more free to express, and to love and not hold back anything. And I think that's really important in the world today because a lot of people, I feel, do want something different in life, do want to live a different way, and don't have the tools to do it yet, to live a life of freedom. So that's what that represents completely, was just complete freedom, and what that means to me and what that can mean to anybody else. Like, they define it themselves. Like, it's like love, you could tell me what love means to you and our freedom, and we really get to unravel, like,
what does love mean to you?
Yeah, what does it mean to me? Oh man, it's like it starts to build this structure because like the love is like this truth and trust. That's the practice of it, and it's complete freedom. And it's so sacred. It's one of the most profound things that you can bottle up into a word. And I remember you're making me think of The Alchemist when you're talking about your life and how you took off, and then you found out like your treasure's here in Perth. Like you did your full circle, came back to your tree. And for me, like I was reading one of Paulo Coelho's books, and he talks about, I think it's in The Pilgrimage, the book, and he's with his guru, and they're talking about the 4 words of love that the ancient Greeks used to use. And I was just like, I was so impressed. I was like, what a beautiful culture to live in at that time where they took the time to break down love. Because we throw that word around for everything. It could be a device, it can be a person. It's like, all right, well, obviously we just need to define it because it's more on a vibrational thing when we say it. And so in the end, it was, for me, it just encompassed everything. Like, love can be heartbreaking, like Like I remember, just thinking about loving somebody, and eventually, because nothing's going to last forever in this particular realm, and that's so disheartening. But at the same time, it's like the greatest gift. At least I get a chance. Yeah. Do you know? And so love for me just encompasses all of that. It's just like, it's everything. It's like we can't shy away from like what's going to happen, what's happened in the past. And it's just complete forgiveness. It's like a refresher, man. It's like you're pure again. Love. Everybody sees you in the eyes of love. Well, then you're pure again. In fact, you're always pure, so there's no such thing as again. And then that's just love. It's just like, oh, there you are. Like seeing a child. Like when you see your children, you see nothing but love. Because that's what's at. And then all these other things are just layers of just illusion. And then when we strip back and be like, there it is, that miracle, that child that was born, love. And then it's like, oh yeah, all of us are that. And that's the lens, man, for me of love. It's just, it's so complete. We breathe it in every day. Like, I'm not working for this breath. It's such a beautiful gift. Is that not love? It's like, wow.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, man. It's
You're welcome,
an
man.
intimate question.
It is. How about you,
what
man?
else is there to talk about?
How about you? What's your definition of love?
I'll just echo what you said. It was so beautiful. But I'll give my own interpretation as well. I mean, Bhakti Yoga has been a big part of my life. Again, thanks to Ram Dass. And for me, there's like that dualistic love. Love you so much, that genuine, authentic, just love. I love you. Which is beautiful. It's, in terms of physical life, it's the best thing ever. Then there's the melting away of separateness, of being love, of being love. When you're in love with someone, like people often, like the first burst of love, like, I'm in love. And everything is better. Everything is better. But then so commonly, that wears off. But that situation, that moment, that person is like the key that unlocks our own heart. I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm love. So for me, bhakti is a practice of like really being a connoisseur of that, of like really cherishing that. Like, wow, I love you. Wow. At the same time, bringing that into the moments where I feel like I'm out of love, Like I keep bringing Ram Dass into the conversation, and I bring this situation into a lot of the episodes because it's quite potent. He has a practice of putting, like, you go to his house and the puja table is loaded with people he loves. I love you, Maharaj. I love you, Krishna. I love you, Christ. I love you. All the beautiful saints and beauties of the world. I love you. I love you. And then right there, right at the front is Trump. And that's a practice for him to see where he gets stuck. I love you. And then, there's Trump. I don't love you. What is it that doesn't love him? And like bringing the love into that. It's a deep practice. Because like true love, like beyond the ego, like the biggest love of our heart is truly unconditional. So that's what I'm fucking interested in.
Right.
Is like, yes, my kids, I mean, that's just pure love, unconditional. Yeah. Joe, same thing. Family, same thing. I'm so lucky to have so many people I really love. At the same time, I'm really interested in like that being love, like the moments when I feel down and in the shadow and dull. even in that moment, remembering love. Because it doesn't always have to feel as euphoric as like when we're first in love with someone, or when you're on a high with that baby. But then you're gonna have shitty days where you're tired and you're depleted and you don't want to change that pooey nappy. And I think we're so like addicted to the high that as soon as like shit gets challenging or like dirty or dull or shadowy, like where's the love? And then the common predicament is like, oh, there's a hot young girl over there without kids. Go for that. Like, it's a common predicament. It's just like when I'm worn out, when I'm like wanting alone time, yet I'm called to be a good father. It's like remembering love in those moments where I feel depleted. It's the instant elixir to wake me up. But it's a practice sometimes, you know? Because, our biology, that kind of rush of when we're first like the superficial aspect of I'm in love, the butterflies and the euphoria, that is love. But then there's so many layers to love. So being a connoisseur of love, and I mean, that's a continuum, you know? Some days I don't feel in love, and it's my practice to like breathe through it and reconnect and honor where I'm getting sticky and see if I can even love on that. Can I even love on my ego and the needy little gritty aspects of myself and even love on that? And I mean, the Trump thing, I think that gets confused a lot. Like, it's not about inviting him over for a cup of tea and, you know, hanging out and being all loving and fluffy and all that. It's so much fucking deeper than that. It's like a strength. It's like taking our power back, you know? That's what it feels like to me, that love. All there is love, that whole thing. I think that can be used as a bit of a cop-out of like, it's all perfect, you know? All there is love, you know? He'll work it out, it's fine. Like, I think it can be used as a cop-out, or it can be used as like, let's take our power back. Let's fucking love on him. And it's an investigation. We'll see.
It is, man. It's almost a rabbit hole conversation when we start talking about love, because it is like listening to you define it, you know, and listening to myself define it. Like, we start to unravel like the dark side of it, because it's like love is creation. You know, there's destruction in love. And then stuff grows from that. You know, that's why the volcano erupts. And then the most beautiful, mineral-rich flowers and plants and food grows from that. And that's kind of the reminder, like, he's part of that, you know, if we're speaking about him specifically. You know, like, if we love what we love, that we cherish, like the eros, like the passion, like I'm in love and all of that, then we have to understand that came from something that wasn't the greatest part of humanity. And then if we love that person in front of us and we know that, you know, eventually down the line that we didn't get to live, you know, that came from that, for giving me the opportunity to live here right now in this amazing time, came from destruction, then of course you have to love it all. You know, we can't pick and choose, because otherwise it wouldn't exist. And I think what's happening a lot, and like you're talking about people's attention span, is that we stop asking questions. And I don't know what it's like for anybody else in this world, but I know as a child sometimes when you're asking, oh, why this? Why that? And eventually the parents just like, you know what, can you stop with all the questions, or can you just shut up? You know, and then it's just like, it's dead. And it might stick for the rest of our lives, you know. And I know, like, if you keep on asking, because I know you ask a lot of questions. That's why you are where you are today. And we keep on asking, then we get to go deep into the source of where everything comes from. We just keep on asking why and what and all those wonderful questions, and it just keeps on going further to be like, oh, damn, we are all connected. This is all love. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't stop at 50 years ago, you know? There's been a lot of, like, lives on this planet and a lot of incredible things and terrible things, you know? And those terrible things have brought beautiful things that we get to enjoy today. And it's like, whew. It's accepting that, right? It's accepting, like, the dark side as well, until we figure things out.
Yeah. There's a devotional Tantra practice, and even in Theravadan Buddhism, a practice of meditating on decaying corpses.
I heard about this, and they're like, they stay at the, they meditate at the, what do you call it?
Well, I mean, there's
burial grounds and stuff like
burial
that.
grounds. I mean, there's a few different lineages that do it different ways, but it's a practice of like being with the decaying, dark aspect of life, the death of life. And I mean, in the Theravada Buddhism way of doing it, I mean, they're watching just the corpse go through the whole process of decay and worms and birds, and just watching the whole thing, the smells, and being with all of the mourning and grieving and repulsion, and can we still find love even in that confrontation of that aspect of life, which in many cultures that is just daily living. Death is right in front and not so feared. Similar in India, the best way to die is at the burning ghats in Varanasi, and the body is fully visible and then fully seen as it gets burnt and sent down the Ganga. And it's one very therapeutic way, I think, to be with that aspect of life, which we so conveniently, in our culture that is, tend to push it away behind clean curtains and so forth. But I mean, bringing Ram Dass into it, again, he's gotten permission, his community has gotten permission to do his funeral that way. And I mean, one of the most loved people in the world right now. And that they came up with that as a process to help people let go of their attachment to his physical form. Love you so much. I love you so much. I don't want you to die. I don't want you to go. Like, it's one of the ways to help people spiritually connect to who we all truly are, the love that truly connected us. And it's powerful that they even got permission for that in the US and in Hawaii, of course. I mean, I don't think we could do that here yet. And I don't know if I'd even want to, like watching a loved one just burn like right in front of me. But it's powerful to hear of people doing it like that.
It's so beautiful, right? And I think that's some of our trouble with suffering these days, is that we hide from our shadows. We hide from the darkness. We hide from the inevitable. It's the truth, man, and it's going to hurt. But to actually see it does something for us. Like a lot of times when people are going through struggles, they usually have to go back to the past and just come to peace with it. And it's like we have these chances in the moment to do it, but if we're hiding it all the time, like you said, behind clean curtains and stuff like that, then we don't get a chance to heal. And then we wonder why we suffer or why we're in pain. And then life goes on so far that we forget where it even started. And then we're just a bit of a mess.
And I think without those challenges and really facing the darkness and sitting with those grittier, gnarlier aspects of life, we kind of grow up without actually ever growing up. Like we kind of, before we know it, we're a grown man, yet we still feel like this little pussy of a kid.
It's true, man. There's this tribe in South America called the Koki tribe, and they call all of us the Westerners little brother because we're undeveloped spiritually. And it's like, that makes sense, man. Like, I throw tantrums sometimes, like, not like a child, but I'm just like, oh, I'm not getting my way. And I'm just like, come on, man. Are you serious?
I think Australian Aboriginals have a similar perspective. This kind of very noble, patient, like, come on, like looking at a little kid, come on, like, and it's just a patience of like, God, let's keep going, but got to be patient.
You're right, man. And it's like, it kind of goes back to where we started about going back to nature. It teaches us that again, because you're just like, oh, the seasons, you get to see everything, and it's like it has it's a mythology. There's a method to it.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to skip and jump and just be like, nah, I'm not going to do that because I don't like it. And it's like, how do you know? You know? And we miss the full story.
It's huge, man. And there's a lot of spreading of these beautiful movements of intentionally getting out of our comfort zone. I mean, we've been given so much choice, a lot of our generation anyway. A lot of us have been given so much possibility, so much choice, so much abundance, and life can get pretty comfortable, until it's not. But for the most part, very comfortable. We've got a lot of choice. So one way to remediate that is put ourselves intentionally in an uncomfortable position, in a situation, like an ice bath or
okay.
I love
this. Give me something else.
Well, whatever. But Australian Aboriginals have the walkabout. You get to a certain age and you go off by yourself into the desert, into the bush, and you figure it out yourself. You get food yourself. But we don't really have those intentional rites of passages. Yeah. So people are kind of, in retrospect, I kind of created that in my partying. I pushed partying to the fucking edge until I nearly died.
True that.
And then came out the other side, thankfully, glad I survived that one. And it woke me up and really helped me grow up, unintentionally though. And a lot of these rewilding movements of people realizing we can't get too comfortable. Can't just sit in the air conditioning and get too comfortable or turn the heater on when it gets too cold. Let's get really fucking cold till you feel like you're going to die and see what's on the other side. Or get really hot with some niacin and just sweat until you feel like you're nearly going to die. What's left on the other side? Stuff like that,
Yeah.
And there's so many, a lot of the psychedelic journeys people are going on may not be typically enjoyable. Some of them are, but a lot of them are typically not enjoyable. But it's kind of a spiritual death of in a lot of places death is so there, and the uncertainty of waking up the next day is so in their face. They probably don't need shit like that. Their nervous system is fired up enough. They're just trying to survive. As we all are, if we look at the big picture, we're floating through outer space, nothing's really predictable anyway.
Not at all.
But we can get sleepy and complacent. So it's good to see a lot of these movements coming up of let's get out in the bush and go hunting or gather food ourselves or just camping, even just plain and simple. That's what we love about flow. It's not radical in that rewilding way. Some people may want to take it radical and, stay out there an extra few days or, whatever. But for many people, even just camping a day or two, a night or two is huge.
Or turning off their phone or having no reception.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
People freak out.
Yeah. So true.
So, that I think is huge for people, turning the phone off, getting out in nature, just camping. The water's a bit cold. Fuck it, jump in anyway. It's so invigorating. Yeah. Shit like that. It seems so simple.
Yeah.
But I think as technology keeps evolving the way it is, it's going to be really crucial. The discipline to have a phone-free day, or when you're at dinner with your friends, turn your phone off. Everyone put your phone in the middle. Turn it off. Let's actually pay attention.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah. It's going to get really interesting. You're right. Because soon it's not going to be phones.
Yeah.
It's going to be plugged into people. It's like a Neuralink, and then what? I think Elon Musk was talking about, he's we're all cyborgs. People just don't realize it. Everyone carries their phone everywhere they go. It's by their bedside. And just it's not too long ago, we didn't have. So it'd be interesting to see. It is, right? So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Our kids are born into it. We got to see the transition.
Probably like everything, there'll be beautiful aspects of it and crazy shit. Just like everything. Any tool can be used to create beauty and art, or it can be used for destruction. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
Growing up with it.
Yeah.
From birth, our kids.
Something else, man. Yeah. Whole new world that our kids are stepping into.
We're over an hour, my man. Let's
Beautiful.
gradually bring it back to flow, and then we'll wrap it up. So you're going to be teaching at Flow, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
We're sharing one workshop.
Great. What are you going to be bringing to the Flow family?
I think we're all going to be teaching a class together with Sean on was it Friday or it's a Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah. So on one of the mornings, it's going to be us men teaching, which will be awesome. And then on the other morning, it'll be the women teaching. But some people we're going to launch the lineup now. It'll already be live. I'll post it below by the time this episode comes out. But some people have perceived that it's just that 2-hour class that's going down and then no other yoga for the rest of the day. It's going to be a shitload of yoga, all day. But that 2-hour class is going to be epic.
Yeah.
With sounds of samadhi playing the beats and the beautiful music.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great to teach with you
and
as
then
well.
you as well. And then Shawnee as well.
Yeah.
Sean Taylor. Yeah, epic. And then I think there's some wonderful panels that are going to be happening. I think I'm going to host one of them.
Great.
Some amazing subjects.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and then I'll share one workshop. And I'm so looking forward to it. This will be my second flow because you guys took a year off and magical things happened in 2 years. So it'll be cool for everybody to catch up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I'm so happy to be part of it again.
Yeah, we're very grateful to have you here and part of it. It feels really, really good.
Thank you, Stu.
Have you got anything else happening in WA while you're here before you take off?
No. That's going to be about it. And then we head off to Bali. I might do something, but that hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
I might do something at the end of January.
Yeah.
And we'll do something around visions for the new decade and
beautiful.
Doing a workshop around that. And things.
Yeah, 2020. Here we go.
Yeah, right?
Doesn't that look great?
Hell
sound great?
Yep. Love it, man.
2020.
Exciting times ahead, man.
Yeah. Well, I hope to get you here again in 2020 and blessings with the baby and the fatherhood and your beautiful family.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, good times ahead, man.
Yeah, man.
A real honor to have you on here.
Likewise, man. It's good to get to know you. This is one of our first times, or our first time we get to chat one-to-one. So
for sure.
And everyone got to listen in on it.
Yeah. All right. Much love, Mark.
Yes, brother.
Thanks for listening. Bye.